following their first ever point in club history. Jimmy Nielsen and Hartford Athletic will have another crack at their first ever win in club history as they play host to fellow expansion side Memphis 901 FC in USL Championships edition of Friday Night Lights. Tonight's game presented to you by Barberino Nissan from beautiful Rentschler Field in Hartford, Connecticut. Tyler Terrence along with the ex-German pro Devin Kerr. Glad to have you with us. And the last time out for Jimmy Nielsen's group, Devin, it was a 1-1 draw against the Charlotte Independents in front of more than 12,000 here at Rentschler. It was an awesome environment. However, the result not as awesome as they had hoped, as they got a bit of a kick in the face in the opening moments, Devin, and then they were able to respond nicely in the form of Max Steves. They get another crack at their first ever win tonight against Memphis.
Jimmy Nielsen said that was everything. It was the slow start. He was happy with the performance, but Damo Duro did a good job opening 5 minutes, keeps his head up, allows Mansali on the left side to drift in. 3rd minute, goal. What do? They don't put their heads down. So great response from the home squad. Immediately long ball in from Raymond Lee. Love the vision on this cross corner pass. Nice 40-yard ball. Max Steves receives it. Even better finish. They get the draw. Not 3 points, but an excellent stepping stone for another victory.
And speaking of stepping stones, Philip Rasmussen, I mean, this is a guy you and I have covered for a number of years now. He usually bosses the middle of the field. Jimmy Nielsen's needed some help at the center back position, and Rasmussen has filled in quite nicely.
You initially questioned him, and you look and you say, how can you take one of your best midfielders and move him to the back line? It's real simple. You bring in Colin Martin. You bring in Nicky Downs. You give yourself the opportunity to take talent, bring it on the back four. That's allowed Raymond Lee on the left, Harry Swartz on the right, to push higher up on the field, to get this attack going, and most importantly, lock things up in the center of the defense.
Meanwhile, on the other side for Tim Mulqueen, let's hone in on Captain America. Mark Birch does almost everything from the center back position for Tim Mulqueen. He's going to try to do it again tonight.
When we came into this season, we asked Mulqueen, how did your roster selection start? This was the guy. He was the immediate name, said he exemplifies everything we want for 901 FC, and he's given you that look in a multitude of ways. The emotional leader, the physical leader, and most importantly, he provides the ability for everybody else to explore the options down the field because of his vision and his captaincy.
Well, 2 expansion sides will collide in Hartford, Connecticut tonight. One of them still in search of their first win, and they'll try to do it at home. Memphis 9-0 FC looking for just their 2nd win. It's all coming your way next.
This has always been a soccer city. And now, we have our club.
Nick, we need a decision. These days, we all feel a little anxious sometimes. But if you could see inside my mind,
you'd find I'd go to my happy place. See, if we let tensions run the show up here,
then our bodies won't perform at their best out here.
Wait, are we going to the sound check?
Priorities.
So I'm partnering with Cigna to remind you that how you're doing emotionally affects you physically. Go for your annual checkup and be open with your doctor about anything you're feeling, physically and emotionally. Body and mind. Cigna, together all the way.
Almost set for kickoff between Hartford and Memphis 901 FC from Rentschler Field. Tyler Terrence along with the former German pro Devin Kerr. Glad to have you with us wherever you might be tuning in. And we'll take a look at the starting 11s for both Jimmy Nielsen and Tim Mulqueen, starting with the White Puma. And for Hartford Athletic, coming off of that draw against the Charlotte Independents, Devin Kerr. What are we looking at?
Let's go to last week. Let's remove the opening goal in the first 3 minutes. Everything else, the back four, the goalkeeper. I love the guys in the middle of the field, and I really like the partnership that Steves has created with Alex Dixon up top. Haven't seen him in that role before, but he sits well, great hold-up play, and allows Alex to move forward. We need more from the wing plays. Dalgard on the left, Jonathan Brown on the right. Didn't really get enough work out of them, unfortunately, but that's okay. Another stepping stone, another opportunity to go showcase yourself. When you look at 901 FC, only one change up top. Elliot Collier steps in. The New Zealander looking to find the back of the net for the second time. Got the opening goal a few games ago in the game tire, but it's been a while. Cam Lindley had a strike and a half last week, and Dan Metzger, now back after that lower body injury, has allowed them to look a bit more dangerous going forward. Adam Najim on the right. That's out of sorts for him as well, but he was impressive for Birmingham. To be fair, the referee didn't do him any justice. They probably should have won. However, 2-2 tie. They don't drop points, so another good chance for them on the road.
Chandler Hoffman ended up stepping up and converting on that penalty really late, and after the replay, you could see it for Memphis 901 FC. Wes Sharpie committed the foul, a solid yard outside of the penalty area, and it was a heartbreaking loss for Memphis. The boos rained down, and it was a really difficult pill to swallow, but they move on. Both teams coming off of a point. Devin, when you look at these two sides, I mean, it's May 10th. You don't want to say there's must-wins, but for two teams that are really struggling, Hartford in their first 9 games ever, again, the first 8 were on the road, still looking for their first win. Memphis 901 FC, their only win coming off of a brutal mistake from Benjamin Ofemu against Bethlehem Steel FC when that game was at Talent Energy Field in their home opener. Both teams desperately need 3 points as we're officially underway from Rensselaer. Memphis 901 FC in their all-white kits, Hartford Athletic in their all-green. Tyler Terrence along with Devin Kerr. Friday Night Lights in the USL Championship. And immediately, Harry Swartz, the youngster who performed beautifully in his opening game for Hartford Athletic, and who Jimmy Nielsen just calls a little bulldog at that right back position. And Devin, he told you and I, flat out, this kid has a career at the right back position. Good opening play from Memphis 901 FC as that effort from Elliot Collier takes a deflection, and the touch from Najim goes out of play, and a goal kick coming for Jacob Lissick.
And if you don't know anything about Harry Swartz, he's a guy who was coming out of the CAA, Northeastern. He was a forward. He was a striker, much more of a hold-up player, but allowed them to push forward, and they could play off of him. Good channel play. He's actually the only guy from the CAA invited to the MLS Combine. So he doesn't get drafted. Then what? What's the next step? And you don't necessarily continue on in the same role that you played in college. It's exactly what's going on with Harry Swartz. Jimmy Nielsen telling us that he has been amazing at the outside back position. His ability to read the game in college has translated to a different area on the field, and that's probably why he picked up the outside back position so quickly.
And we do see that so often. Strikers, midfielders, wingers, whatever you want to call them, attacking players who come into the professional game. And you don't want to say relegated, but are moved back in terms of the formation, moving from goalkeeper to striker. And a lot of them end up fitting in really nicely at that position. It's just a matter of how quickly you can adjust, as Memphis 901 FC with some more defending on the other side, and a corner kick coming up for Hartford.
You actually see it in a couple different sports. I mean, you take a look at the NFL, they do the same thing. You get guys who are playing outside linebacker, they beef them up, put them on the defensive line. I mean, there's so many ways to do it, but here, it's nothing against you as a player. It's a talent pool type thing. And most coaches are going to want a guy who can hit the back of the net 15, 20 times a season. That doesn't mean Harry Swartz can't provide going forward. He's just probably more well-suited at the outside back position.
Rasmussen to take the corner. It'll be an outswinger. Keeps it low. Little design set piece. A swing and a miss from Alex Dixon, speaking of other sports. But it'll stay with Hartford. Well, certainly on for Jimmy Nielsen's group, as that was straight from the training ground. Challenge there from Alex Dixon, and getting the better of it, but illegally. And we'll get another look at that last chance for Hartford.
It's a fun one. Definitely something from the training ground. A la Liverpool, almost. Just a bit outside the penalty mark, and Dixon's just got to put a foot on that ball. Not the best execution. A fun one on the back line that we haven't addressed yet is Tristan Hodge coming in, outside back for Trinidad and Tobago, who started for Tim Mulqueen, but Abdi Mohammed has done well in his absence. He was dealing with a bit of an injury, and combine that with Jacob Hauser-Ramsey, maybe not necessarily the best form from Todd Pratzner, and they've moved Mark Birch over to the right side of this back line, put Tristan Hodge next to him on the middle, and just allowed this back four to have a bit more of an opportunity, stabilize themselves. And that's one thing with these two squads, their last games were the best that we saw them. And you look back and you go, well, you know, Memphis 9-1, they beat Bethlehem Steel on the road, yeah, but still, performance-wise, the best we saw them was against the Legion in their last match out.
This one goes back for Caldwell. Dixon with the pressure. Rasmussen, somebody that Jimmy Nielsen said just sees the game so incredibly well, his positioning, his IQ, and that's why he's able to trust him in that center back position, somewhere he's not exactly all too familiar with. There's Jonathan Brown drawing the double team. The Welshman looking for delivery, gets it off. Mark Birch clears it away. The White Puma gets an early touch. You asked him if he was going to suit up tonight. Or no, it was the last game.
Last game. Well, I said to him that the team sheet that was turned into us didn't have a backup goalkeeper on it. I said, Jimmy, is there something I shouldn't know about? Are you coming out of retirement? You making a comeback? And we'll just say he used words that we probably shouldn't put on the broadcast. Very nice about it. Had a good laugh. But things just weren't translated appropriately. And he said, no, we had a backup. Everything's good. It's okay. Moved on.
Jimmy Nielsen at one point in time, MLS Cup champion, MLS goalkeeper of the year. Of course, played that MLS Cup final with a few broken ribs. He's an absolute warrior, and that usually translates into his teams. And of course, that OKC Energy FC side that got to the 2017 Western Conference final against Swope Park Rangers. And Jimmy's been frank with us over the past few weeks. And listen, it's usually difficult to hop on these calls with coaches when you're in week number 9 and you still don't have a win. And Jimmy says, listen, the fans aren't seeing what I'm seeing in training, is that's my guys getting better every single day. But to be quite honest, and again, he'll use another word that we shouldn't use on a broadcast, they don't give a blank what happens Monday through Thursday. They only want to see results on the weekend. And it's only a matter of time for Jimmy Nielsen's group, but it has been a struggle. They started their first 8 games on the road against some of the best teams in the Eastern Conference. But a game like tonight, at home, Friday night, against another expansion team, these are the types of games that you figure that they need to go out and get 3 points and really start to garner some momentum before their first season becomes a lost season.
You can take it a step further as well, because with Jimmy Nielsen, he has the ability to break down games, identify problematic areas, and then put together solutions that allows them to get better. And we've seen that. Yes, there's only been one tie, but they have had good matches. To be fair, they actually played better at the beginning of the year, but some of that, Jimmy admitted that I had a system and an idea of how I wanted to play. We weren't able to do it, and I saw the problems coming onto the field, but we were training quite well, so I had to dull the formation down a bit. That's not a disrespectful comment to the players. It's real simple. You want to get from A to Z. Sometimes you can't go B, C, D, E, G, and so on and so forth. Sometimes you just have to be direct, and you have to make things as simple as possible. Then, once they get that system, you can break down the tactical solutions, you can take down the problems, you can get an idea of what's coming at you each and every week. Simple. Goes to 4-4-2, allows them to have a bit of fun, and you've seen the fruits of their labor on the field.
Here's Jochen Graf. Looked to be a bit of simulation in there, and that's what the crowd is barking at, as the former Tampa Bay Rowdy and Rochester Rhino man went down relatively easily in the corner of Rentschler. Raymond Lee finding Colin Martin in the middle of the park. Him and Nicky Down starting to develop quite the partnership. On the other side for Memphis 901 FC, that draw against Birmingham put an end to what was a 4-game losing streak. And their only win back on March 24th at Bethlehem. Rashawn Dolly with the game-winning goal, giving Memphis 901 FC their first ever win. And as Devin mentioned, it wasn't a pretty performance from either Brendan Burke's side or Tim Mulqueen's, but a win is a win is a win, especially on the road. And they have been snake-bitten by some referees, a bit of scheduling early on, but
injuries, international play, you can throw in so many different things. The growing pains for an expansion quad in general are very different. I mean, they're very different from what every other team experiences, and you know, it's just been difficult. But when you look at the talent pool on the roster, more than capable. Guys that have gotten it done in this league before, and guys that have done abroad, overseas, or whatever terminology you want to use. And so it's just finding the gel that brings them all together, and then you solidify it like glue. And you've seen glimpses here and there. Unfortunately, they just haven't necessarily been able to put together a full package. Thought they had it last week for Birmingham, but like you said, unfortunately just got bit right at the end.
Well, the return of Dan Metzger from injury, Bringing in Cam Lindley on loan from Orlando City has certainly bolstered the middle of the park exponentially, as Memphis 901 FC looking to make camp in Hartford athletic territory now, and they will do so.
This will be an interesting matchup for Alex Dixon, having to deal with both Tristan Hodge and Mark Birch. Plenty of time. He actually has the speed advantage on a back line. That's not necessarily the case, although Mark Birch has definitely progressed into his 30s. He has not lost a step, and Tristan Hodge is very difficult to beat in a 1v1 matchup.
Hodge actually was in the starting 11 for Trinidad and Tobago in a game against Wales back on February 2nd. And you very well might see him towing up against the U.S. men's national team, Gold Cup this summer. The group of death: Guyana, Panama, Trinidad and Tobago, and the United States. If you're a U.S. men's national team fan, would you rather have seen Trinidad in the group or in a knockout game?
It's a loaded question.
Well, our producer, Ava Ponte, was like, give it to me in the group.
Yeah, that's... I would probably agree with the group, because you have to manage other games. It's not a one-off, and most likely you're going to get stacked up in the knockout rounds and just get everything thrown at you. In the group, you might see some pieces move because of the fact other matches are involved.
This one clipped over the top, and chasing after it is Abdi Mohammed, and it'll stay with Memphis. Collier cutting it back. Good ball in. Groff was there. Actually falls for Najim. Oh, that is silky smooth from Najim. Still with it. Somehow gets it through. Now it's Groff with his back to goal. And eventually cleared away by Colin Martin. Only as far as Mohammed. Najim is proving to be a 1v1 nightmare for almost every defender in the Eastern Conference. I mean, what he did to Birmingham was just downright disrespectful.
I played it back 3-4 times and just...
I watched it 17.
He goes to ground. It's the quick slide. It's the wherewithal to understand the defender's going to open his legs and give him a look. You still have to progress through the same sliding leg, then pull it back.
Muckett let it run through, hoping that Groff was going to be able to get there. Lindley pushes it out wide for Mohammed. Sustained pressure here from Tim Mulqueen's group. Here's Collier. And good pressure from Swartz. And a corner kick coming up for Memphis, who are rewarded for their offensive prowess. 19th Regiment providing awesome acoustics here at Rentschler. And Jimmy said about the crowd in that game against the Charlotte Independents, he said, listen, guys, I've played all over the world. He was like, I was not expecting that. And it just felt like a real pro environment. You don't need to teach the fans here anything about the game. They're educated, they're passionate. As the corner goes short for Memphis. Mohammed lines it up from long distance, and it actually gave an opportunity for Hartford to get a touch to it, and then Lissick is dropped. And the 26-year-old from Highlands Ranch, Colorado, a bit shaken up.
Jacob Lissick kind of come out here and challenge this ball. He's timing it, watching everybody in a crowded group, and Wes Sharpie, wow. I mean, he reaches his arm out here and says no malintent, but he does give him a look right before he drops that shoulder. A few words from Tim Mulqueen on the sideline. Felt like the goalkeeper had exposed himself that far out. Does have a bit of an argument.
Not only exposed himself, but didn't really know much about the play either. We were told it was a, 51-49 split on who is going to start tonight's game, and Lissick was part of that 51%. Came over from Penn FC in the 2018 season. Actually attended Fairleigh Dickinson University. As this one comes out for Muckett, look at Mohammed coming around the bend. Muckett trying to beat Lissick at the near post, but it was always going wide.
better look. Seen some overflow by Collier drifting in. Najim coming over. This time Muckett cuts inside. Lissick definitely has it covered the entire way. Watch the goalkeeper, drifting eyes, even after the challenge just moments ago. Knows the entire time it will be on the near post. This has probably been the biggest area of concern for them, 901 FC. It's their ability to make better decisions in the final third. And we've seen that over the past 2 games. It's matriculating into this game as well, where it doesn't need to be these stagnant movements where ball into Lindley, ball out to Muckett, up to Jochen. You have to find a way to be a bit more imaginative in that situation, and they've started to do that. And to be fair, Jimmy says, you know, a lot of credit to Jochen Graf up top because he gives them that added look where he can stretch the back line with his speed. He still gives you the area ability, but he's technical on the ball as well. So you have to account for more than just speed. And that's no disrespect to anybody on 901 FC. It just gives them another option. And then when you combine that with the likes of Muckett, Najim, and Collier, as well as the boys in the middle of the field, it makes it so difficult.
Giveaway from Memphis, but they're able to win the ball right back. However, give it right back to Jacob Lissick. Of course, Hartford still waiting for the renovations to Dillon Stadium. 5,000 seat venue for Hartford that is slowly but surely starting to come together as that late challenge will be blown dead by our head referee, Lucas Spalla. Fans, don't miss our U.S. Open Cup match on Tuesday versus the New York Cosmos as America's oldest soccer tournament comes to Hartford. Season ticket members receive tickets as part of their package. The match will be played at Al Marzouk Field at the University of Hartford, and tickets are just $10. Following that match, Hartford Athletic will be home again on May 25th for a special Memorial Day weekend matchup right here at Rentschler Field. Hartford Athletic is offering all military and first responders a complimentary ticket in recognition of their service. Get your tickets at the box office or go to hartfordathletic.com/tickets today. How'd I do?
You should be rewarded. 901 FC's already had the ability to lock down some of the play from the outside backs we saw the week before. Raymond Lee was the gentleman who played that ball into Max Steves. He's so capable. How many times did we see that with him in the Bob Lilly squads of Rochester Rhiners and Pittsburgh Riverhounds?
Brown whips one in. Bit too far away. Raymond Lee. Finding Downs. Martin back for Downs. Was he taken down to the edge of the area? Lucas Spalla says, get up, I want none of it. And here comes Memphis on the other end. Elliot Collier leading the charge. Here's Najim. Loves these situations. What has he got up his sleeve? Wants it back from Collier. Uses him as a decoy. Back for the New Zealander. And poked away right at the last moment from Raymond Lee, and good defensive prowess from Jimmy Nielsen's group. This one's starting to open up a little bit in the 18th minute. Alex Dixon held on to it way too long. Great sliding challenge from Metzger. And Muckett cleans it up, and look at Swartz and Dan Metzger get into it. I think it's fair to say that the losing and the drawing, both teams are sick of it. And both sides want 3 points in the worst way. And you're starting to see that boil to the surface as Nicky Downs taking the space that's given to him, tried to find Alex Dixon. Pushes it out wide. Here's Dalgard. Lee coming around the bend. Dalgard still with it. Here's Martin. Back for Raymond Lee. He drives one low, handled by Birch. Back out, first time effort. And it'll be a goal kick coming for Jeff Caldwell.
Trainer coming on to check on fallen 901 FC player in the middle of the field. It was the challenge on Nicky Downs, it looked like, on the second series of events. It's all about decision making once again. Had the overlapping run to Raymond Lee, didn't play it soon enough, made its way back out, and then eventually back to Dalgard. We saw something similar on the opposite end with Memphis, where they'd moved the ball up quite nicely. Najim didn't necessarily have a lot of option. He wanted the 1-2 back with Elliot Collier. Collier decides to keep it, but when he turns open, all the lanes had closed down. Both managers telling us that they've just been struggling a tiny bit when they have moved into the final third, and that's pretty much what you've seen in the opening 20 minutes.
Swartz brings it down. Here comes Graf. Here's Muckett. Good entry pass in from Lindley. Collier leaves it off for Najim. Wants him to be able to make a play, and it's out of the reach of Jochen Graf. Steve's trying to bring it down, but it was a tall task for the tall man who played for the Providence Friars. Oh, it's a back giveaway. Steves might be able to get there. Caldwell just got a touch to it, and a deflection off of Steves. Sometimes we'll see that find the back of the net.
Unfortunately for Max Steves, this doesn't necessarily have that high gear that he's trying to get into here. He's trying to get the big body moving. Jeff Caldwell recognizes the bad ball played in. Good challenge right outside the top of the 18. Steves is just about a half second too slow with that top end speed. Otherwise, would have ended up in the back of the net. You gotta release the ball sooner. I mean, 3-4 times in the past 5 minutes, Athletic make the decision quicker. 901's giving you the time, and you're just letting the passing lanes close down and allowing them to track back and get stuck in.
I mean, there is such thing as having too much time on the ball.
Oh yeah. You start to get this wandering thought process that, wow, look at how much room I have, and it looks like you have 10 seconds sometimes. And in the blink of an eye, it's gone. And you just have to stay quick. Now look, there's nothing wrong with taking 2 and 3 touches. Sometimes you're going in transition, but what you've seen over the past few minutes is just lack of decision making. I mean, it's poor on their parts, and they need to do better because they've got decent ball movement, but you're only getting about halfway through that process.
That touch from Najim was brilliant. Now here's Muckett, lays it off for Graf. Jochen Graf finding an avenue, pulls it back. Lissick makes the save. Here's Najim, and it's on the wrong side of the post. Excellent save from Jacob Lissick. Terrific stuff from Graf, but it comes to nothing for Memphis.
All about the goalkeeper here. Well done by Graf at the top and not taking anything away from the movement. However, goalkeeper's already drifting to his left, has to come back right on the dive. He does push it out in front of Najim, but to be fair, as a goalkeeper, you're taught to push it away from the goal. It's a great save, and Najim just can't finish the second opportunity off.
Well, if there's anybody who deserves to get rewarded for their play as of late, it's Adam Najim, but unfortunately not the case. 24-year-old from Wayne, New Jersey. Of course, was with Bethlehem from 2017 to 2018. Swartz along for Dixon. Working on Muhammad. And Devin, you and I both noticed that Alex Dixon has really not looked like himself at the start of 2019. We thought that it might be due to the fact that he's in a new system. I mean, it is under Jimmy Nielsen, who he's more than familiar with, but he's with a new club, different part of the country. As this one comes out wide for Jonathan Brown, his ball in is not bad, and Mark Birch, first one to get there. And Jimmy Nielsen has basically told us, guys, he's had every possible injury at the start of this season: concussion, hamstring, calf, everything, you name it, and Alex Dixon still is finding a way to get on the field.
Separated shoulder. I mean, the guy, it's everything, and it's luck is a big thing in this game. People don't take that into account, where You get the opportunity to go in the starting 11. Awesome, great. That one tackle, that one slip, I mean, everything can come into play in your career, and that's basically what's gone on early on for Adam Najm. Excuse me, Alex Dixon looking up at Najm on the far side.
Now it's Muckett looking for the return for Collier, broken up by Lee.
And for Dixon, it's just a matter of, Jimmy Nielsen said it best, if I can get him to 90%, only 90%, to me, he's one of the best 10 players in the league. And you can have your own opinion on that, but most importantly, his manager has confidence in him. And so for him to say that about Dixon and then still giving him reps and knowing that that's at one point in time going to come around, it shows confidence and it shows that he's willing to give him time to get back into form.
Muhammad sends it across. Here's Muckett. Memphis 901 FC strike first. It's a great ball out wide. Muckett follows it up. Nothing Lissick can do about it. And it's another opening goal for the visitors here at Rensselaer.
Coming in, we said the movements needed to step outside of their comfort zones. They couldn't be stagnant. Left midfielder sitting here, 10 in the 10. Najm has drifted all the way over. That's your outside back and Abdi Mohammed. And there is your left midfielder who's tucked himself inside, allowed for the late run at the top of the 18. He's done everything correctly. Solid finish by Tristan Hodge. That's twice in the span of 5 minutes. Dwayne Muckett, well done. Jesus. We'll get there.
Second goal of the year for Dwayne Muckett. Tim Mulqueen loving every moment of it. And Muckett just continues to find himself at the right place at the right time. The beneficiary of some terrific work out wide. He was the benefactor of the David Najm play. Or Adam Najm, excuse me. He does have a brother named David. Of course, following up that Muhammad ball, and now Hartford Athletic, for the second game in a row, are going to have to battle their way from behind at home.
They did everything right. 901 FC did everything right. Beautiful movement. Dwayne Muckett just tucking himself in, and that's what this all came down to. But it gives you an idea of Tim Mulqueen's thought process with tucking Tristan Hodge in and allowing Abdi Mohammed to go to that outside back position. That was a move that they made when Hodge went on international duty. Then when he came back, he got injured, so they had to limit his minutes, move him back into form. Abdi Mohammed made himself a name on that left back position, and then with Mark Birch at the left center back, some trouble on the right side, some injuries on the right side. Now Birch shifts over, allows Hodge to tuck in, and allowed Abdi Mohammed in that movement to get up high, played a good ball in, and a better finish by Dwayne Muckett.
Hartford Athletic would like to extend a special thank you to our title partner, Trinity Health of New England. Here's Sem David out of the back. It only took them 9 minutes to respond against Charlotte. After the 3rd minute goal for Mansally, it was Max Steves who got the equalizer in the 12th minute. As Dalgar clips one in, Dixon rising for the header.
You'd never know with the big size on the back line for 901 FC that Alex Dixon is just above 5'8". The kid legitimately just floats in the air so good when he gets the opportunity to do so. Read the play the entire time. Jonathan Brown was there as well. And it is all about the response. Jimmy Nielsen said he was quite proud of his boys last week because they gave up at the early goal and they fought their way back almost immediately. Said that funneled over into training midweek as well, where he didn't have to bring them up after a loss. He didn't have to push them. They brought it themselves.
That one intended for Graff wasn't that far off, and Hartford Athletic were in real danger there of conceding a second. It's just the 9th goal this season for Memphis by Dwayne Muckett. Technically the 8th. They were able to get an own goal on the road at Louisville to make that USL Championship game of the week a tad more interesting. But Louisville never really were in doubt in terms of who was going to win that game, and the foul in the middle of the park.
Now another fun switch for the outside mids and Dwayne Muck and Adam Najim. Unfortunately, Dan Metzger just stepped out a little bit with the referee. To be fair, Metzger actually got pulled first, but it's never the first offense, always the retaliation that the referee catches. And then with the flick of the ball to push it away to try and go quickly. Referee didn't like it at all. Better look. See, he doesn't like the turn here as he gets the shoulder tug from Jonathan Brown. Probably not that far off. Unfortunately, he does come back around on the second chance. And the referee says, no, nope.
Sent in by Lee, but way too close to Caldwell. Select is the official ball supplier of the USL Championship and many of the finest leagues in the world since 1947. Select has been the leader in soccer ball quality and innovation. For the latest Select products and special offers, please visit selectsportamerica.com. Glad I was able to get that read out of 6th grade level certificate recently because I'm getting put to work tonight. Tim Oakley not happy with Dan Metzger as he was just trying to flick that along for Najim. And just wants Metzger to hang on to the ball, and we've seen that a few times tonight, Devin, for both sides. I mean, we saw Hartford a couple of times holding on to the ball too long and Memphis being a bit too cute and quick with it.
And outside of the one chance where Alex Dixon didn't have any support, everything else was there for the taking. You just need to push the ball a bit sooner, and that hasn't been the case. It's the 3, 4, 5 touches. It would be concerning if the movements weren't there, if the space wasn't available, but that's not the case. Well done by Swartz playing out of the back. Good turn.
And look at Swartz off and running. Good idea to find Brown. It'll still fall for Nicky Downs. Raymond Lee in for Dixon, back for Lee. Raymond Lee, oh, what a finish! Hartford respond again emphatically. And it's Raymond Lee, the outside back, with an absolutely thumping goal. 1-1.
Took 9 minutes last week. How about 8 this time around? This all stems from the makeshift right back, Harry Swartz. How about the 1v2 battle? He goes with Najim on the left, makes his way out, then the triangular play at the top of the screen. Dixon occupying that role up top, switches to the top of the 18, gets the 1-2 with Raymond Lee, sees the far corner. You get a good look at the angle. Pick that out. What a strike by Raymond Lee. Proved to be the vital assist to Max Steves last week. This time he gets on the scoreboard.
Raymond Lee, of course, was under the tutelage of Bob Lilly for so many years in that defensive mastermind. And under Jimmy Nielsen, gets to enjoy a bit more of the offensive side of the ball and making the most of his time here at Hartford. Alex Dixon trying to find Dalgard. Was he taken down? Lucas Spalla not interested.
Giuseppe Gentile on the near goal line is furious with the referee punching the post. Great response by the home squad. They are going back and forth right now. And you want to look to the likes of Mark Birch to steady his team on the road. You could sense the momentum building by the home squad. Athletic did such a good job just slowly taking their time to get back in, and over the course of the 8 minutes, were able to make their mark.
How about this? Raymond Lee, 26 years old, first professional goal.
There's always a time for it, isn't there? What a way to respond. And that's kind of been, oh wow, that was very close by Jacob Lissick. To be fair, it looked like he had slowed himself down enough to keep it inside, not the case. And instead of giving up a free kick, throws it over the end line. But that has been the message that Nielsen said to everything. He said last week the goal and the response, this week the response in training. I haven't had to pick them up at all. They've done it on their own. You see it now coming into this game as well. They go down once again first half, but they find a way to fight their way back into the game.
Corner's whipped in. It's an excellent ball. Alex Dixon concedes another corner. But Cam Lindley drove that in with a ton of pace, and it was almost dead flat, which is near impossible for a defender to deal with.
This is probably wishful thinking, but Najim's creeping on the back post. That's a good look they might be able to exploit going further.
Chance here for Memphis. Lindley takes a swipe at it. Pardon me, that was Wes Sharpie. Now we're going to do that one more time, and Hartford are scrambling right now.
There's Najim on the back post once again. Alex Dixon sees it this time, so he's not roaming on his own, but they have definitely packed a boatload of numbers in it.
Now Birch whips it in. Lissick gets a punch to it. And much better from Hartford on that set piece. Dixon finding space for Dalgard. Gets wrapped up, stays on his feet. Great determination from Dalgard. Gets taken down. Should there be a card here?
So he's going to Wes Sharpie, the one from before when he pulls him around. He allows him to play on. This is the right decision from the referee. Dalgard, a little to and fro in the middle of the field, does well to maintain his foot on the ball. And then the referee rewards Wes Sharpie for his efforts. That's what he's calling for right there. Dalgard able to maintain his composure. And then as they step up, Tristan Hodge coming into your view there. That's lesser of a foul, but Sharpie will go into the book.
So Sharpie gets the mustard. 36th minute, 1-1 here at Rentschler. Tyler Terrens along with Devin Kerr, glad to have you with us. Goals from Dwayne Muckett and Raymond Lee, his first ever professional goal. Sent in, hoping to find Steves, loose in front, Brown nods it along, and Caldwell able to pick it out. I'll tell you what, Devin, I was a bit skeptical heading into this game, given the fact that we've seen both of these teams play, just in terms of style of play, what we've seen previously, in terms of the game being open and having this much space. I mean, Rentschler's a huge field. That's the first point. But the second point is that you're seeing both of these teams really for more or less the first time this year. Second time probably for Hartford. Just go after the game.
Smart.
It's fun.
It's nice to see, and it gives you an idea of the progression that the coaches are talking about in training and how it's now translating onto the field. I mean, you're looking at an athletic team that got pounded for 15 goals over the course of 4 games. That is not a good look, but they're able to steady the ship a little bit last week, and that's the momentum we talked about.
A glancing header is going to go out of play unless Dixon can keep it in. He cannot.
Good look. Nice ball in. The flick to the far post. Steve's just trying to see its way over. Maybe let somebody else run on. A trailing run by Dalgard or possibly Raymond Lee in the overlapping position. And they just gain a little bit of momentum. The Charlotte Independence game, Raymond Lee was the gentleman who played the ball up to Max Steves. And he said this time around, he finds the goal. Great run, and just shows you the technical ability that he possesses that you didn't see a lot under Bob Lilly for the Riverhounds or Rochester Rhinos.
And getting a fresh start after missing that penalty against the Bethlehem Steel. He was the only one to miss in that Eastern Conference quarterfinal, a battle of the Keystone State. Still technically not a Keystone rivalry, but I mean, that's an incredibly difficult way to end this season, and I'm sure that is a penalty that still haunts him. And to be completely honest, kudos for Raymond Lee, because we have this conversation in terms of stepping up and saying, yes, I will take a penalty. For a guy who's never found the back of the net in his professional career, he ends up sending it just wide. He was trying to pick out the corner, but it's great to see him get a goal, get this fresh opportunity with Hartford, and just sort of get a new, fresh, clean slate in the Eastern Conference. And hopefully many more to come for Raymond Lee. Awkward bounce, Lissick off of his line. Hartford Athletic would like to recognize the Hartford and all of its founding partners for the 2019 season.
Tim Mulqueen letting the fourth official know that that's probably the wrong decision. I tell you, Tim Mulqueen's not a guy that I want to mess with. He's your friend. You're buying the drinks for him, and he repays the favor later. He's always in your corner. You got to keep on his good side.
He's like the last guy I want behind me if I'm like taking my sweet time at a drive-through.
Which is funny because he's the nicest guy.
Yeah.
The nicest guy, just on the soccer field.
Yeah.
He's your worst enemy. He's done well. This roster assembly, still looking for it. I mean, the home win, not having one yet, still escapes me. With all the performances that they've put in and not able to get 3 points at home yet.
Birmingham was it. That was stolen from them. It's not a terrible idea to find Collier, but Sendevid has it covered. How about the 19th Regiment? Just embracing this club. Fair play. They did have the first 8 games of the season to practice and get in sync.
I mean, to be fair, there's plenty of clubs around the world who don't sound like this. And
Yeah.
they've had years and years of experience. Gives you an idea of how much thought and effort they've put into it. You know, an opportunity to finally get a chance to showcase it at home along with the talents of Hartford Athletic.
Good battle, Raymond Lee. Elliot Collier's there. Referee says play on. Lindley was trying to just brush that into the pass with Muhammad, and Swartz taken down from behind. And Tim Mulqueen not too happy about it.
Abdi Muhammad might have been able to get away with this. Unfortunately, just at the last minute, a little forearm check. Spalla was able to catch it. Here's a good look at the main man, Tim Mulqueen.
All black on Friday the 10th.
We got to talk.
Let's hear it. Let's do it.
Your days are off. Your colors are off. Our pets' heads are falling off.
Yeah.
Things have cooled down a bit here between the two squads, and they've been jostling a bit more in the middle of the field, and you can see just heating up in terms of the physical battles. Everybody taking it a bit heavier than we saw at the beginning of the match.
Almost cut out by Najim. Now Dixon skips away from Tristan Hodge. Here's Brown. Nobody in the penalty area for Hartford just yet. Now the numbers starting to arrive. Steves with a great touch. Downs, back for Martin. Into the path of Brown, onside. Martin tried to cushion it. Difficult ball to take. Hartford Athletic fans, be sure to vote for your Cigna Man of the Match on Twitter using hashtag Cigna, M-O-T-M. And no, you cannot vote for Devin Kerr. Here's Raymond Lee, already with one goal to his name tonight. Dalgard 1v1 with Sharpie, great move. Cleared away by Hodge. Semtevit with a strong step. Now it's Jochen Graf. And Lindley with that terrific strike to get things started against the Birmingham Legion, only to see it equalized by probably an even better strike by Daniel Johnson of Birmingham. Muckett a heavy touch, showed a bit too much of it to Nicky Downs. Collier, all sorts of tricks up his sleeve. Broken up by Harry Swartz, and another corner coming up for Memphis. And I think it's fair to say, Devin, that Hartford haven't exactly handled all of them cleanly.
Set piece opportunities are something that has become so important in the game. Really, most managers around the world recognizing over the past 18 months what weapons it can be, but also a detriment to their squad as well. We saw it in the World Cup, and that's really become the focal point for so many head coaches around the world. Hartford Athletics struggling with that, many others as well. Just something you really need to tidy up, and it's, to be honest, pretty easy to practice on in training. Just have to commit to it once you get into the full pitch.
Good ball in, saved off the line by Lissick. Tristan Hodge got ahead to it, and it was right at Lissick. We'll have 2 minutes of stoppage time. Great save from Lissick.
This kid's got some sort of determination, standing there strong, makes himself big, right on the line. This is where the brilliance of a goalkeeper really comes out. That's just athleticism and understanding your role and making a phenomenal save. That's technique, and that's the vision to understand in traffic. Just have to keep your eyes peeled. It's very well done by the goalkeeper.
Collier on the move. Collier saved by Lissick. Graf saved by Lissick again, and Muckett's shot is deflected. It was offside, but an incredible double save from the Colorado native, Jacob Lissick.
4 phenomenal saves in the first half. This one needed to hold on to it a bit better. It's bouncing in front of him, and you can see he goes to cradle, gets his hands underneath it, which allows Jochen to get a second chance opportunity and a third. Regardless, still up to the task, and the goalkeeper bails his team out once again.
Lindley, good ball in for Collier. He's really starting to grow into this game. Lindley, now wide for Sharpie. Sharpie cuts in. He lets it fly, blocked by Raymond Lee. Here's Dalgard on the other end. Sharpie got all ball, according to Lucas Spalla. And that'll do it for the first half. The boos rain down here at Rentschler, but a great response from the home side as they equalize Dwayne Muckett's goal. Muckett and Raymond Lee had their goals separated by 8 minutes. And it's 1-1 as we head into halftime. Devin Kerr, your thoughts?
Just need to be quicker on the ball. That's all this comes down to from both squads. We've seen it about 5-6 minute glimpses, and that's about it. There's a good look at Jacob Lissick, who took one off the face and now seeking medical attention at halftime. But some important movements both on and off the ball, and most appropriately, 1-1 at halftime. Good opportunity to regroup and get back at it.
An open and entertaining one here at Rentschler as Hartford Athletics still in search of their first win and looking to do it in front of the 19th Regiment. Jacob Lissick has been fantastic, couldn't keep Dwayne Muckett's out. Nobody could have kept Raymond Lee's out. 1-1 as we head to halftime.
Where some see a barber, I see a magician. I see Hugo, of Hair by Hugo. Wizard of whiskers. Sorcerer of scissors. Houdini of hair. Hugo is a small business owner. Me, I'm the Hartford Buck, and I see nothing small in small business.
The Hartford Small Business Insurance. The Buck's got your back.
This has always been a soccer city. And now, we have our club.
One at the half here in Hartford, Connecticut, between Hartford Athletic and Memphis 901 FC. Muckett and Raymond Lee, the goal scorers, the first of his professional career for Lee. Muckett's second of the year. And we thank you for tuning in and sticking with us during halftime. And we'll take a look at USL League One's newest member from the Midwest.
Man, I'm going to tell you, I think it's freaking awesome. For lack of a better word, it's awesome.
We would like to formally welcome you to League One for 2020. Yeah.
We are proud to be the stewards and caretakers of the world's game and the Big O for all the fans. And it starts today, right now.
We, together, collaboratively, can make such a huge positive impact on the community. Together.
You know, you close most deals and you sit at your desk and maybe have a closing dinner. I get to celebrate with 200 people with cheers, so it's awesome.
Breaking in, Kasim!
Oh, what a save by Matt Pickens! Got a run from distance, wow. And it's a goal! Goals with the left and in. And what a save for Van Ogle! Here's a chance for Kasim, who puts it in!
Halftime, and a great look at USL League One's newest member. And it's going to be in Omaha, Nebraska, where, fun fact, Devin Kerr was actually born.
Born and raised.
Excellent stuff.
Good.
How do you feel about it?
Love it. It's good for them. I mean, that place has a massive amount of tradition. Outdoor, indoor. Creighton Blue Jays are right there around the corner, so good for them. Nice movement.
Good sports town. Speaking of sports, that was a bit broad. Neil Collins, Coach of the Month. Only remaining unbeaten team in the USL Championship. Kevon Frater named Player of the Month, and more than deservedly so. 4 goals and an assist. And how about Nashville getting all sorts of Game of the Week love as they will take on Birmingham Legion, but a disappointing result against Neil Collins' group this past Wednesday, Mr. Devin Kerr.
His boys able to go on the road, a Game of the Week, get a nice goal. Leo Fernandez played a sweep ball in. Guenzati back to Juan Tejada. 1-0 victory on the road, and that was kind of their big thing. Can they beat a big team on the road? Well, they did enough to jump to the top of the standings, tied New York Red Bull 2. Nashville SC get an opportunity. Gary Smith to rebound as they'll take Chandler Hoffman, Birmingham Legion FC, and see exactly what they can do. They're another team who's trying to find their form a little bit. Very up and down as of late. We talked about the comeback against 901 FC, and then you take a look at scores that we've had going on so far. Some notable ones for you. Swope Park Rangers in that interesting game. Brian Holt, unfortunately, just had a blinder and was able to get out in front and really put his team behind the 8 ball. Rangers and Nagamura 3-2.
I mean, if I would have told you that the back-to-back Western Conference champions of 16-17 were going to have their first win in the first week of May, what would you have said?
I would have thought you were crazy, and I wouldn't have said it was against Lou City. I can tell you that much.
Ottawa Fury and New York Red Bulls 2 finish 1-1. Tampa Bay, we already mentioned before. Phoenix and RGV will do battle later tonight. And here's a look at the ESPN Game of the Week schedule that features the man to my right and the voice of the USL, Mike Watts. Birmingham Legion and Nashville from Birmingham. And then New Mexico United will get some linear love as well, taking on OKC Energy FC. Devin, I've asked you this question before. I'll ask you again. If you can only pick one, but you get to do them all, which one would you do?
Only pick one, get to do them all. Right now, I'm going to go with San Antonio, El Paso. Mark Lowry's boys are knocking the ball around quite nicely, moving up the standings. And Darren Powell, you know, they've gotten better and better. They struggled versus New Mexico, but prior to that had some quality results.
Still halftime. It's still 1-1. Don't go anywhere.
This has always been a soccer city. And now, we have our club.
Where some see a barber, I see a magician. I see Hugo, of Hair by Hugo. Wizard of whiskers. Sorcerer of scissors. Houdini of hair. Hugo is a small business owner. Me, I'm the Hartford Buck, and I see nothing small in small business.
The Hartford Small Business Insurance. The Buck's got your back.
Nick, we need a decision. These days, we all feel a little anxious sometimes. But if you could see inside my mind...
You'd find I go to my happy place. See, if we let tensions run the show up here...
then our bodies won't perform at their best out here.
Wait, are we going to the sound check?
Priorities.
So I'm partnering with Cigna to remind you that how you're doing emotionally affects you physically. Go for your annual checkup and be open with your doctor about anything you're feeling, physically and emotionally. Body and mind. Cigna, together all the way.
Almost ready for the second half here in beautiful Hartford, Connecticut. Rentschler Fields, 1-1 between Jimmy Nielsen Group and Tim Mulkeen's squad from Memphis, Tennessee. And we'll take a look at the half that was between these two sides. And Devin Kerr, it was open, it was fun, it was entertaining. And in the middle of all of it was Dwayne Muckett from Memphis 901 FC.
Everything came down to, can these squads show us a bit more invention in the final third? And that was lacking in execution a little bit. Muckett gets an idea, cuts inside. How about Max Steves trying to pick the pocket here? Well read by Jeff Caldwell. And a good job for just both squads kind of jousting back and forth. Jochen Graf at the top of the box. This really started when Lissick got going and made the nice save there. Najim can't finish it on the doorstep. Did everything right, the goalkeeper. There's something Harry Schwartz needs to keep an eye on, head on a swivel. 24th minute. How about this? Good ball movement all the way around, allows it to develop. Muckett just bides in time right at the penalty mark. Thank you very much. 1-0.
Is he trying to pick out Muckett there or just put it into the area?
Put it in the area. That's all you need to do. You want to put it on a platter, let someone else run onto it. There are times where you'll catch a runner in the run of play, but he's got a collar, he's got Dwayne Muckett, and that was pretty much it. This was the header where it was really interesting. There was a gray area because Jonathan Brown could have gone into this and used his momentum. Bigger body, bigger frame, probably had a better opportunity to get to the back post. Alex Dixon goes instead. This all started from Harry Schwartz, though. On the near touchline, worked his way back out. Good hold-up play by Dixon on the 1-2 to the backside of Raymond Lee. Picks it out with that foot, goes far post, and they're able to knot it up. And it showed the character once again by this athletic squad to be down but not out and fight back into a match.
So we do have one talking point. We really didn't even get to see it at the end of the first half because Lucas Spalla blew the halftime whistle. 2 yellow cards. One for Wes Sharpie, one for Dan Metzger. Sharpie very easily could have gotten a second yellow card right before halftime on that challenge on Sebastian Dalgard.
That would have been quite easy, to be honest. And he's lucky and fortunate that he doesn't have to deal with that, of course, because you don't want to get thrown out. But I think the bigger picture here was you see the possession, don't worry about that. Shot's nice. It's their ability to translate their thought process in a quicker manner. How many times did we see in the first half, and both squads were guilty of it, where excellent run of play, 2 passes in a row, the third one stalled out, and they just couldn't progress to the next step.
Well, here's what's up next for Jimmy Nielsen's group because they played their first 8 games of the season on the road. Wouldn't you know it, they play a bunch at home. And they're going to be at Loudoun United on May 19th, but then after that, home against Ottawa, home against North Carolina, home against St. Louis, home against Nashville. None of those easy games. And talking to every coach, basically under the sun so far already in the second week of May, there are no easy games left in the USL Championship. And Jimmy Nielsen's group is slowly but surely starting to realize that.
They're going to have to deal with it, and that's okay, though. Again, it's all about momentum. It's all about the progression, and we're starting to see that, both on the field and off the field. Most importantly for Jimmy Nielsen, we already relayed this once. He had to do less work this week emotionally to pick these guys back up. Remember, they started 0-8. 0-8. That is defeating mentally as a player, and to be involved in something like that, then go out and you get a decent tie, and now you followed it up with an even better performance. Now, I get it. We're 45 minutes in. However, you're going against probably one of the better squads you've seen recently, and you've challenged them. You know, I mean, with all due respect to the Charlotte Independents, this is a better squad in 901 FC, but like them, the results just haven't necessarily been there. Both of the teams look impressive in the first half. Need to tidy some things up there and just play a bit quicker.
It's a hot take.
Read between the lines.
But can you definitively say that Charlotte will finish below Memphis at the end of the season?
If I had to guess right now, I would say yes.
Okay.
Can I definitively say? No. That's why my weekly pick'ems are below 500. Well, I got to account for a draw. You know, that's not fair.
Listen, 1 out of 3. Some have greatness thrust upon them, and you're not one of them.
Obviously not. I'm sitting here next to you.
You know what? One of these days, I'm just gonna break down crying in the booth because you're gonna hit that button one too many times. But until then, we'll play some football here at Rentschler Field. I mean, if you're Jimmy Nielsen, it's another slow start, but it's another equalizer. I mean, what's the message in the locker room? There's not much that you can say at this point. You've played 9 games, you don't have a win yet, you're at home, it's level, you've had some opportunities. What could he possibly say to the guys to be able to rile them up even more and give them more incentive to go get their first win?
You don't need to. At the end of the first half, they were the better team for the closing 5-8 minutes or so, and you just need to find a way to carry that over into the second half. Everything is about the next step. Everything is about the next progression, energy. You're seeing all of that. And for both squads, and we've already said it twice, it's just picking up the pace. There's good movement off the ball. There's good movement on the ball. They just have to make faster decisions. You cannot stand on it that much. You release it and go. Just let the ball do the work. It's so much easier of a match.
An early opportunity for Memphis 901 FC at the start of the second half. Broken up as Nikolai Lingo coming on and replacing Philip Rasmussen, so it's the Danish switch. And Rasmussen was playing in that center back position for Jimmy Nielsen, and you figure he'd be one of the 8 guys who was going to go 90 minutes, but Rasmussen, I mean, I don't think he played poorly in the first half.
No, not at all. One thing you have to keep in the back of your mind is Open Cup. That is right around the corner for them. So this could be rotation by the White Puma, setting things up for what could be over the next few days. They're playing Tuesday, if I'm not mistaken.
Against the Cosmos.
Tuesday, yeah, playing Tuesday, New York Cosmos beat. And so Nikolai Linga come in, step in, give them an opportunity to have, you know, a few more options come selection time on Tuesday. And the worst thing you want to think of is hopefully he didn't pick up a knock, but you didn't see him go down. Pretty decent play. Just hope for the best and move on.
U.S. Open Cup, very much the most wonderful time of the year. What do you think the biggest cup set was from the first round?
Biggest cup set. To be honest, you have to think about, was it Forward Madison over Bavarian? Is that who they played? Forward
Yeah,
Madison
I have mine.
Go ahead.
Florida Soccer Soldiers.
Oh, Miami FC.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a big one. That was a big upset. For the Bavarian squad, and this isn't anything against Forward Madison. If you don't know who Bavarian SC is, it's the most storied amateur team in the history of the U.S. Open Cup. This is a team that has made it 8 years running. They've been to a final, a semifinal, which they did back-to-back in '93, '94. Massive amount of talent on a regular basis. National amateur titles all the time. They're actually the reigning national title champion. And for them to go out in the first round, that was a big one, because they consistently progressed to the second and third round.
But it's different now, right? When you have the USL League One, and these guys are full pros now, and it wasn't that way.
That's the thing also, is that they added, with the restructure of the amount of teams coming in and out, they added 13 spots for pro teams, and they took more away for the amateur squads.
Collier and Graf, and then it was broken up by Colin Martin. Cam Lindley trying to find Collier at the back post, not handled cleanly by Harry Swartz. Lindley again. All USL Championship teams will jump in this second round. Some terrific matchups all across the country. Any teams that you saw from the amateur side that you like to progress through the second round? About Westchester United.
They look not bad.
They're taking out a Birmingham team that I think that they could get the better of on it. Listen, Birmingham's going to be rotating. Westchester United, this is their Super Bowl.
And Birmingham hasn't exactly been at the top level so far. They've struggled. Mikey Lopez, Chandler Hoffman, Daniel Johnson. They've really struggled to get into it. Obviously possess a load of talent, but so do the Westchester Predators. They were impressive on the ball. Michael Gonzalez, that kid in the middle of the field, was really nice to watch. Could ping a ball with the best of them. Coming out of Pennsylvania State University, and you forget about some of these guys that come out of college and don't necessarily get that opportunity in League One, League Two, or the championship, and where do they go? And you're talking about guys that are All-Americans in D1 and D2, and that's hard to believe, but there are a finite amount of spots that are available for these pros.
Some testy play after the fact.
Nick Schwartz and Elliot Collier doing battle on the far side. About 5 minutes in here to the second half. Good stand-up defending. To be fair, he slips a little bit and then comes back around. He actually slips on the progression there, and it's not the worst play by Collier. But the backside of it is more of a football tackle, to be honest. The other kind of football.
Nice.
Yep.
Dalgard lofts one in. Mohammed is there, and they'll concede a corner. Memphis 901 FC will take on New York Red Bulls U23 in what was a wild first-round matchup against FC Motown. That game was at Montclair State, finished 3-3 in regular time, 4-4 in extra time, and went how many deep in penalties? Six or seven?
Or eight, yeah, 7 or 8, something like that.
I can honestly say, as Lucas Spalla is going to make sure that everybody's minding their P's and Q's, the amount of games that we had and all the coverage, it was genuinely too much to handle. My head was spinning by the end of the day.
It was super fun. You could jump to whatever you want. I needed a sports bar with the ESPN Plus, with everything, just a big screen.
With what on tap?
Fiji, maybe?
Sparkling water.
Yeah. A little lemon.
Semtevic felt like he was held up. Graf clears it away, but only as far as Swartz. Look at Raymond Lee. He's enjoying himself tonight. Taken down and able to draw the free kick. Tim Mulqueen can't believe it.
It's definitely a foul, and now it's time for Raymond Lee to just pump the brakes a little bit, slow things up. Allow everybody to just take a breather. Very choppy here, opening 6 minutes. Good movement again by Raymond Lee. Well done technically to touch it inside. Abdi Mohammed unfortunately just can't get out quick enough. I have seen the back line for Hartford Athletic. Nikolai Linga is actually tucked over on the left now. David has positioned himself alongside Harry Swartz. As Jonathan Brown gets ready to set up. A bit of tussling on the back post. And they aren't the biggest squad, but Linga's definitely one who can compete with the best of them in the air.
It's a good ball in. Collier wins it. Here's Dalgard, and that was not far off for being an easy USL Championship Goal of the Week nominee.
Good ball in. Nice challenge by the back line of 901 FC. Well done. Unfortunately, Collier flicks it right back down the middle. Exactly where you don't want it to be. That's where the trailing run is going to be every single time. Dalgard looking for that upper corner. Just a bit outside. That is close. I mean, the English he gets on it outside of the boot, moving up on him. Proper technique, just couldn't pick it out.
Alex Dixon, Mark Birch talking about the best steak restaurants to go to in the Hartford area. This one's the best from Linga. Came on as a substitute at halftime for Rasmussen. Here's Jonathan Brown now. Colin Martin. Effort from Steves, always going over the bar as Steves was leaned all the way back. Fans, don't miss our U.S. Open Cup match on Tuesday versus the New York Cosmos as America's oldest soccer tournament comes to Hartford. Season ticket members receive tickets as part of their package. The match will be played at Al Marzouk Field at the University of Hartford, and tickets are just $10. Following that match, Hartford Athletic will be home again on May 25th for a special Memorial Day weekend matchup right here at Rensselaer Field. Hartford Athletic is offering all military and first responders a complimentary ticket in recognition of their service. Get your tickets at the box office or go to hartfordathletic.com/tickets today.
Breathe. Well done, sir. Talk about execution for these two squads. I'm impressed.
There's a lot that goes into that. It's not just reading, but I'm trying to make sure that there's no chance happening, making sure that you're still awake over there. There's a lot that goes into it. Here's Najim. Sharpie, who picked up a yellow in the first half, linking up with Metzger. Both of them receiving a healthy dose of mustard in the first 45 minutes. Graf. And one in with the outside of the foot. Collier, great little stutter step around Swartz. Collier. Referee got in the way for a moment. Here's Lindley. Lindley around Swartz. Sharpie. Not gonna let her run through, but Nikki Downs was first to it. And it runs out of play for Alex Dixon. Swartz with some solid play. Downs got caught up with it. Lindley making the most of it. Too close to Semdevitt. Encouraging Jochen Graf to come and get it.
Cam Lindley really starting to turn things up here in the second half, though. On both sides of the ball, putting in that second and third effort, trying to help his squad get going in the second half. Both teams a bit stagnant coming out of the dressing room. Haven't really seen some of the fluidity we saw in the first half. It's time to make sure you're surefire and just be a bit more clinical on the ball. That seems to be the theme for the night, lacking from both squads.
Challenge from Colin Martin.
Two interesting guys, Colin Martin and Cam Lindley, who unfortunately just kind of fell out of favors with their managers. Cam, respectfully, with Orlando City under James O'Connor. Colin Martin, of course, coming over from Minnesota United. And only a few appearances. This is the third for Martin and lucky number 5 for Cam Lindley. And the two of them just trying to get into game fitness. That's something that general public doesn't necessarily understand. Training 90, 100, 120 minutes during the week is nothing compared to what your body endures in a 90-minute match. And sometimes getting yourself up to full game fitness does take a decent amount of time, and that seems to be something that both of these guys are struggling with. However, see it each and every week. They are consistently getting better and better, giving their managers no doubt about selecting them for the team sheet.
A little move from Collier. And then a run out of play. Cam Lindley, of course, a product of UNC Chapel Hill, our director, H. Tillotson's alma mater. Only played 2 years of college ball. He was part of that like 3 or 4 player trio who won ACC Rookie of the Year and would leave college early at any given point, whether it was after the first year, the second year. I mean, obviously ACC, I mean, you saw them all last year.
Juggernauts.
It's the best conference in the country, no?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's an easy, quick yes. UNC, Carlos Samuano, Wake Forest, Bobby Muse. I mean, the list goes on and on. George Keever at NC State. Though you will say that second best is the Big Ten.
Yes.
I mean, they're right
close
there.
second, yeah.
They hold the national title winners right now.
They
so,
do.
like some Maryland, 6th national title and able to take down Akron. Morgan Hackworth's alma mater. He's on the bench tonight. Had a nice performance versus Dad a few games ago in the game versus Louisville City. Fortunately, they weren't able to close things out. Louisville City getting the victory over 901 FC 2-1.
Interesting first touch from Dalgard as Mark Birch able to clean it up. Fans follow Hartford Athletic, Memphis 901 FC, and the rest of the USL Championship all season long on ESPN Plus, home to the USL, MLS, UFC, and more. Join the over 2 million sports fans who have already discovered ESPN Plus and watch the championship live every week. Sign up today at ESPNplus.com.
More good movement by boys coming out of the back. There's Abdi Mohammed once again. Really like his role that he's starting to fulfill out there. And at the beginning of the year when he did get the opportunity, the Kenyan kind of just held his shape. Stayed out there on the left side, did his job next to Mark Birch, made sure he didn't let anything leak through. Hung up his hat at the end of the day and called it a day. That's not the case anymore. Now he gets the opportunity, get involved in the run of play going forward. Great in the overlapping runs, and then also his ability to track back. Something you have to remember, it's so difficult to do. Push that high line and then come back and mark the likes of Jonathan Brown. Overlapping runs, Harry Swartz, tracking over by Max Steves.
There's Alex Dixon trying to get around Hodge, no call. And it's probably the right no call from Lucas Spalla. Great play from Raymond Lee to get out of trouble. Doing his best rendition of the Hartford shuffle on this near side. Similar to the electric slide, but with a bit more gusto. Here's Collier. 1v1 with Swartz. He's gotten the better of him so far. But Swartz with a good challenge. Last touch off Collier.
You would never know that he's not a right back. You would never know that this is his second professional game playing right back. Everything for Jimmy Nielsen was about his ability to read the game, keep an eye on his technique, keeps his hits open, still allows himself, just turns, goes, nice motor on him, quick acceleration, gets to the byline and doesn't allow Elliot Collier to get the ball across.
And he's going up against a Collier who I believe to be probably one of the more underrated winger strikers in the USL Championship, let alone the Eastern Conference. I mean, he's big, he's fast, he's got moves, he's technical.
It's kind of one of those other questions. If I told you this point in the season he'd only have 1 goal, you'd probably call me crazy.
Yeah, I'll call you crazy no matter what.
But sometimes it just doesn't fall that way, though. You know, the luck's not there with you.
Here is Collier. Lindley switching the point of attack. Najim. How clever is he? Able to find Collier. Graff lays it off. Collier gets stuck in. Downs comes away with it. Martin grabbing onto that left foot.
It's a good look at some of the confidence that we talked about Abdi Mohammed and his inability to close it out. Elliot Collier made a nice run, and it was well done by Najim, but the ball that gets played in has to be Abdi Mohammed's. He needs to take command of it, show bigger presence when Yakin lays that off.
Good tracking, Najim still with it. Here's Najim, and it's straight at Lissick. Easiest save he's made all night. But it was offside.
Dangerous player, isn't he? Adam Najim. We just talked about his movement on the side before. Here's a better look, just tracking in behind. Initial review, I didn't think it was off, and I'll tell you what, I still don't. Either way, Jacob Lissick makes another save. He hasn't really been called into action at all here in the second half so far. For a guy who had heck of a shift going on in the opening 45 minutes, I'm sure he's happy about that.
Ewan Grandison getting set to come on for Tim Mulqueen. And we're hearing he'll replace Cam Lindley. You have to imagine it's more preparation for US Open Cup. Unless Devin thinks that Cam Lindley hasn't been that good tonight.
I'm actually quite surprised. It's 100% for Open Cup because Cam's been nice on the ball. Starting to show us more looks of what he's capable of. Again, only his 5th game this year for 901 FC, and it's a guy who just hasn't had a lot of fitness on a regular basis for Orlando City. Only 4 appearances over 2 years after Jason Christ left, and I think he loaned to St. Louis last year. It was only for, I believe he spent 1 game under Anthony Pulis. That was when he was bringing in a couple of the guys, trying to supplement his roster through that injury-ridden season he was having. But things are a bit different for St. Louis this year.
Collier trying to get on the right side of Lee. He does. So difficult to push Collier off the ball. Stands at about, what, 6'4", 6'5"? Now we're being told that it's not going to be Grandison for Lindley, but rather it's going to be Rashawn Dolly for Dwayne Muckett. So Tim Mulqueen with the old pump fake. Sharpie. Trying to go over the top of Lee. Does well. Just out of the reach of Graff, but Muckett gets a touch to it. Najim, great touch. Here's Muhammad, and Lissick parries it away. Adam Najim right in the middle of it again, and Muhammad going for the curler.
This is the center back, Nikolai Linga. Look, doesn't challenge the ball, just allows the run from Dwayne Muckett to continue. Gets a little challenge in, Najim gets the ball. There's the overlapping run once again. That's your substitute center back. Linga has to do better in the crowd and letting his center backs know who he wants to step and who he wants to stay.
So Rashawn Dolly, who's responsible for the only Memphis 901 FC game-winning goal in club history against the Bethlehem Steel, replaces Dwayne Muckett. And I'm sure that change of a substitution will be at the top of Devin Kerr's list the next time that we have a chat with Tim Mulqueen. This one whipped in, run by Steves. And here goes Alex Dixon. 1 against 3. If anyone's capable of it, it's Dixon. Gets Birch to bite, but shows way too much of it. Abdi Muhammad in the end.
You do wonder from Mulqueen why he changed his thoughts, and that's not saying that.
Hold the thought as Rashawn Dolly finds himself in a bit of space. Lindley back out for Sharpie. Numbers in the box for Memphis. Good ball in. Lissick with a terrific save, and it's punched home by Collier. Memphis retake the lead. Elliot Collier on the doorstep. And Memphis 901 FC on the doorstep of their 2nd win in franchise history.
It's been a while for Elliot Collier. We've been saying that. Got the first goal in franchise history all the way back in that tie on March 16th versus Loudoun United in the comeback win. This time, he gets the goal that puts them out in front. Not much Jacob Lissick can do. Makes the save right out in front. Semdovic can't get to the follow-up. Collier just right in front, sticks that long frame out, pokes it into the back of the net. You could feel it coming. The visitors starting to have momentum, and it finally pays off in the 70th minute.
So Elliot Collier with his 2nd goal of the season, and Tim Mulqueen's side retake the lead, 20 minutes remaining. And another concerning moment for the White Puma and Jimmy Nielsen. Elliot Collier, of course, who is from New Zealand, had a former futsal teammate named Ada, who was a victim in the Christchurch shootings a number of weeks ago. Wrote a very moving article on the USL website as Grandison replaces Metzger here. And Elliot Collier proving to be one of the more dynamic strikers in the USL Championship Eastern's Conference. And Memphis 901 FC lead 2-1 here in the 72nd. Hartford Athletic fans, there's still time to vote for your Cigna Man of the Match on Twitter using hashtag Cigna MOTM.
Now Mulqueen has the fresh legs, both in the central midfielder Ewan Grandison as well as Rashawn Dolly. And going back to the substitution we were talking about, not questioning what he was doing whatsoever, just interesting that had the middle of the field lined up for a change and then went outside. Dwayne Knockett put in a good shift, just some fresh legs to allow Rashawn Dolly to have a little fun to run around. I believe he, Collier, and Najim will start to prance around a bit more in the final third. Those three like to get involved together, and they have such a great relationship. You'll see them switch sides a bit more than you do with Duckett.
Header won by Dolly. Here's Graff. Graff still going forward, and a great challenge from Downs. Dalgard stays on his feet. And a bit too direct from Jimmy Nielsen's bunch. Swartz just battling through two different Memphis players. Jose Angulo and Giuseppe Gentile getting set to come on for Jimmy Nielsen, which would exhaust all three of his substitutes with the double switch. We're hearing it'll be Angulo for Max Steves. Dalgard. Not a bad idea, early delivery, won by Steves. And Brown couldn't keep it in play. Brown has been virtually non-existent tonight. Again.
Talked about the issues they were having at the wing position. Dalgard has answered him. He's had a pretty decent shift. You've seen him, especially in the second half, starting to step things up. But this will most likely be one of the outside backs. I mean, Harry Swartz was an issue last week because he didn't have game fitness. And Jimmy Nielsen told us that, you know, he was just tired, had to bring him off. Much better shift tonight, and you just wonder which direction he's going to go.
So it's Angulo for Steves and Gentile for Brown in the 75th minute. Jose Angulo, of course, who is a more than proven goal scorer at this level. And Giuseppe Gentile capable of bringing some solid energy onto the pitch as well as a substitute. Pretty surprised that Alex Dixon, given all of his injury trouble, hasn't come off either.
He's a bit tired up top. Unfortunately, making the switch at center back early on. Again, we don't know if there was an injury involved in that, assuming that was because of rotation for Open Cup.
Be sure to tune in on Wednesday, May 22nd for the ESPN USL Championship Game of the Week on ESPN News as league newcomers Birmingham Legion FC Welcome Nashville SC. It's the week's best match on the game of the week, May 22nd on ESPN News. Collier switching the point of attack beautifully to Najim.
It's a great shout as well. You could hear it from here. Najim said, Elliott, quick little look up, half volley over his shoulder. Well done. That's some of the stuff we were talking about that they've executed much better here in the second half. Just, it's that one pass a bit sooner. It's that one step a bit quicker. It's allowed them to dictate their terms much more here in the second half than in the first. And that's nothing against Hartford. They've done better as well, especially in the past 10 minutes. Opening 15, 901 FC really kind of put a stamp on the game where you saw a lot of movement out of Cam Lindley, getting balls in the middle field, spraying the other direction, and allowing the guys up top to have a bit more fun.
Well, if you've noticed that the screen has become a bit naked, we do apologize for the technical difficulties, and we'll have the bug back up for you as quickly as possible. (2-1) to Memphis 901 FC. Elliott Collier with what stands as the game winner for Memphis 901 FC's second win in club history. Hartford Athletic again trying to come from behind. Jochen Graf stays down. Lucas Spallo check over the shoulder to make sure that he's okay. Hartford Athletic will move forward anyway. Teal with an awkward touch. Muhammad will take the space as Harry Swartz was getting forward.
Home squad and their fans not too happy, saying it's just a calf cramp, but still goes down to the ground. Got to take care of yourself. Unfortunate by Giuseppe just a second ago because he had the right idea, but very difficult. Ball gets played in and it's coming across your body. You have to lean your ball back and then flick it right across with a bit of spin on it. Just ricocheted off his body. It allowed Abdi Muhammad to step up, take possession of the ball, go the other direction. I mean, he's another guy who game fitness. You know, we've harped on it before, but 80 minutes in, fourth match back, only second starting. You better believe his body isn't exactly up to the task at hand. At least not yet.
And it's going to be Morgan Hackworth coming on as the third and final substitute for Tim Mulqueen.
This is a great move. This gives you so many options for Hackworth. Jochen Graf had a good shift up top, and not the greatest, to be honest, disappeared a bit, but still occupied space and allowed the other guys to get involved going forward. Now Morgan Hackworth can come in. He can still provide you that goal-scoring look that you want in the final third, but also tuck back into the middle, help out on the defensive side of things, try and preserve this lead with 10 minutes to go.
Hackworth, just 22 years of age, and of course the son of Louisville City FC's manager, and John Hackworth. Started his college career at Syracuse, then moved over to Akron, where he actually fell short to Maryland at the College Cup this past year. And those two collided in the USL Championship game of the week a couple weeks ago. Louisville come away victors as 2-1. Sloppy game. Hartford Athletic is proud to welcome Stanley Black & Decker as a founding partner. Stay tuned each week for the Stanley Innovative Play of the Game. Here's Swartz. Linga. And for Angulo, trying to hit it on the first time, took a deflection. And easy enough for Jeff Caldwell.
This was never going to threaten the North Carolina native, Jeff Caldwell. It's a quick turn, grabs a deflection as well, just not enough power behind it. Very difficult to get your full weight, square your hips up and get behind the ball with proper technique. Good enough just to get it off, to be honest. Caldwell will just stand there. He'll kill this off. You don't want to come to me? I'm more than happy to just play a little cat and mouse.
Nicky Downs, excuse me, not Nicky Downs. Sebastian Dalgard down for Hartford Athletic.
He's had a couple rough challenges on him tonight. This one that was right across the midsection, coming into the middle. Get a better look, just steps out and just overextends into the ground, gets caught up underneath him. That's a non-contact. Adam Najim steps away from him, and a lot of body-to-body for Dalgard over the course of this match. Not the case on this challenge. Penny for a thought from the White Puma.
How do you handle this? 84th minute, now 85th. Down a goal at home. U.S. Open Cup match right around the corner.
One of the issues he's dealing with is Colin Martin has all but extinguished his role in this game. He's not involved in the run of play going forward, and this is a guy coming in with a massive amount of talent, kind of struggled week one, last week got better, and you expected him to continue to make that next step. Nicky Downs sits a bit further behind in the midfield, so it's a diamond at times. They can sit flat as well defending, all depending on the look they're going to give you. Downs has gotten better each and every match. You haven't seen that from Martin this week, and he needs to be that offensive threat and an extension from the middle field. You just haven't had it. So what you're getting is Raymond Lee looking up. You're getting Harry Swartz looking up, and they're looking for 20, 30-yard balls. No one's coming into the midfield to come and receive it and then go the other way. So you've got basically this 30-yard gap of occupied space that's not being taken advantage of.
Dalgard, oh, that's a great little move. Clips it in, looking for Angulo. Coming out the other way, a bit too handsy.
And a couple guys in this athletic team that have really nice games. Jacob Lissick comes to mind, Raymond Lee, Dalgard as well. All three of them have been quite influential in their team's opportunity to stay in this. Good ball to the back post. Unfortunately, as you mentioned it, Angulo trying to make a few friends on the back post with Abdi Mohammed. Referee standing right there, said show and tell's over.
That's a tough call. Colin Martin is basically saying that Collier was on his way down. And Martin reminds me a bit of somebody on the West Coast who's playing later tonight in Colin Fernandez, in terms of sometimes you would like to see him be a bit more offensive and a bit more positive with his movements, turning up the field, linking up with players, and being more of an 8 and shading more towards an 8/10 rather than a 6/8 as the offside flag goes up.
So some of that is also the role that he's had to fulfill in the past, and now what they're asking of him now. And you're spot on, because he's a guy who can be a box-to-box midfielder. Can be. And that means you want him 18 to 18, give you the opportunity to get the attack going forward, but doesn't always possess that confidence in himself. And so a lot of times you'll see him dissipate through a game where you cross over half field and the moves become a bit sluggish. The thought process starts to slow down. And that's not that he's not capable, he's just not used to fulfilling that role. So you're kind of seeing it both from Nicky Downs and Colin Martin, where the two of them are having a lot of fun just around the center circle. But look at the gap between he and Angulo. You've got 15, 20 yards, and no one's been able to connect so far. It's just a communication thing. I go, you hold. You know, there's an ebb and flow to be had with these guys. And we can also sit here and play Monday morning quarterback. Those two have only been together for about a month.
Downs over to the other side. Not going to find Swartz, as two outside backs for Jimmy Nielsen have really pushed all the way up the field. Desperate search of that equalizer. Looking to avoid their first loss at Rentschler. It's just their second game at their temporary home while they wait for the renovations to Dillon Stadium to be complete. Poor giveaway from Raymond Lee, trying to atone for his sins, and he does. Strong play from Dalgard. Done from Swartz. Swartz again, finding Gentile. And now it's going to be brought back, and a set piece coming up for Hartford Athletic. 89th minute.
This is sloppy on the far side as well from 901 FC. They had done everything right defensively to close this lane down, and Abdi Muhammad, when he's tracking back, both he and Ewan Grandison in the middle, especially Grandison on the tail end of it, sticks his arm out. Giuseppe Gentile had done them a favor, given the ball away, and now vital set-piece opportunity.
A little bit of miscommunication in the Memphis back line. Lee. Here's DeVitt. Struck it cleanly.
Thought the center back had a game tire here, didn't he? Just top of the box, drifting over. Ball gets away from Colin Martin. Difficult one to take down off his chest for himself. Not bad technique, but just at the end, you can see him lift up, picks his head up, leaning back a little. Very difficult to take, though. You're coming across your body, leaning back already. That's something where that drops in front of Angulo or Dixon. Maybe it's done a bit better. Still not a bad effort from DeVitt.
Najim just receiving a bit of medical attention as well. At 4 minutes of stoppage time. And it's now going to be changed to 5 minutes due to this injury right at the start of stoppage time.
I doubt you'll hear very much complaining from the home squad, as the referees immediately saw Najim going to ground. Had already let everybody know that it was going to be 4 minutes. So good job for the refereeing crew stepping in, adding that extra one on as Najim gets back to business.
DeVitt. Dalgar can't keep it in play. And it just looks out of sorts moving forward for Hartford Athletic, and they're in danger of dropping yet another game, what would be their 9th loss of the season in their 10th game of their inaugural campaign. Not exactly what they had hoped for. Nielsen knowing that it has been a more than frustrating start to the season, but has the utmost of faith in his guys. Coming up a goal short again tonight. Angulo, maybe he has some late drama in store. Dalgard, numbers in the area for Hartford. One initially, but not cleanly. And the header looked like it was deflected. Swartz is barking at the assistant referee, as we've played 3 of the 5 minutes added on.
A frustrating night for Hartford Athletic. It seemed that Raymond Lee had really provided them that spark to get back into it, and they were for a while. Visiting squad had other ideas. Tim Mulqueen made some adjustments. Allowed his offensive juggernauts to get involved. Elliot Collier once again. Nice to see him get back on the score sheet.
They'll go quickly from the set piece. Lee looking for Gentile. And a foul against Hartford.
Jeff Caldwell will just put this on a tee, see if he can see this out. Hoping that he can push this high line, just knock a long one. Put this game to rest.
Dolly gives it away. Maybe one last chance for Hartford. Colin Martin, a good ball over the top. Gentile trying to beat Muhammad there, and he commits the foul. And that'll probably do it. Hodge sends it away. Gulo trying to win it, wasn't sure where it was. Now it's Raymond Lee, still no whistle from Lucas Spalla. Now Colin Martin starting to come alive. Here's Alex Dixon out wide, maybe one last chance. Swartz bends it in. Still available. Won by Dolly DeVitt. Swartz for Martin. Martin sends it in, it's awkward, and it just skips past the far post. And that's gonna do it full time. Memphis 9-1 FC with their second win in club history. Their first win since March 24th, and it comes on the road yet again, thanks to the game-winning goal from Elliot Collier. It's all hugs and smiles for Tim Mulqueen's group. And the battle of the expansion side, it's a 1-goal edge for Memphis.
Well done by the visitors. Go in 1-1 at halftime, make a few adjustments. The home squad had counteracted your 24th minute goal.
And tonight's Cigna man of the match, no surprise here, Jacob Lissick.
Well, that was a man. It could have easily been 3-4-1 if it wasn't for Jacob Lissick. Not saying that Hartford didn't have their chances, but the goalkeeper towed the line with the opposition time and time again. Jeff Caldwell wasn't called into action as many times, but a good job by the goalkeeper. Frustrating for Jimmy Nielsen's boys. Give credit to Tim Mulqueen because they did a great job on the road to get their second victory, move up in the Eastern Conference.
So Elliot Collier with the game winner. His initial attempt was saved by Lissick, but he was able to find the back of the net. We'll put a bow on it when we come back. 2-1 Memphis. Field, Hartford Athletic falls short yet again. Their 9th loss of the season in their 10th match of the season. Elliot Collier with the game winner, Tyler Terrence along with Devin Kerr. Glad to have had you with us, and if you're just tuning in, we'll help you out a little bit. Some full-time highlights. Devin Kerr from the opening moments. This one was fun. It was open, at least in the first half. And it would be Dwayne Muckett right in the middle of all of it, linking up with Muhammad. But first, it would be a good save from Jacob Lissick in the opening moments. That one going wide, but Lissick saw a lot of action.
Well, that was the precursor to what was going to be the Jacob Lissick. And that one was just wide on the near post, but then Najim on the doorstep, he's able to keep him out, not once, but twice, albeit with a little help from the post. They would get a goal, though. 24th minute, good ball movement here, and it's all about everybody understanding the role that they're playing and their ability to step outside of it. Abdi Mohammed coming out on the left side, Najim tucks in. Muckett had already made his way into the middle of the field, just waited for the ball to come in. It's good service and then a better finish, and then that was all it was about. Okay, now can we hold this pace? Can we rely on our lead 1-0? No, we can't. Raymond Lee had an answer for it. Once again, we saw him last week. He was the one who played that long ball to Max Steeves. This time getting a ball in right to the top of the box. Just great technique, picks out the far corner and ties it up before halftime.
And set pieces were a cause for concern for Jimmy Nielsen's group as that header was cleared off the line by Lissick from Tristan Hodge. And Lissick again, who is your Cigna man of the match, just with a terrific night.
He had easily 4 or 5 that could have ended up as a second, third, fourth goal, whatever you want to call it. And it was the first shot, it was the second save, it was the third understanding of where he needed to be. Set pieces were a theme once again. This was a ball that really thought Dalgard had that upper corner picked out. It drops right in front of him. The form is good. It's very difficult to execute on the spur of a moment. You got a guy closing down in, just sits down right in front of you quite nicely. Wes Sharpie had a pretty nice shift. I was impressed with him on the right. Didn't have a lot to do defensively, but allowed them to explore both sides of the field. Gives you an idea of his ability to provide service in the middle. Jacob Lissick once again with a great save, but Elliot Collier, much like he did coming back in the Loudoun United game, this time puts his team out in front at 2-1. They're able to stay out in front at 2-1, get their second victory of the season, get another 3 points and move up the Eastern Conference. There wasn't much left for Hartford Athletic down the stretch. This was the best chance coming in. Sem DeVitt, center back, ball about 25 yards out. Good ball in from Colin Martin, just couldn't finish it off.
And here's a look at how the numbers shook out after the fact. 11 shots for Jimmy Nielsen's group, only 1 on target.
That's the problem, isn't it? We said, you know, once they cross over half field, everybody just kind of thinks, all right, who's next? Where can I play in the middle? Is anyone overlapping me? And you have to have more ideas than that. 901 FC too talented on the defensive side of things. Mark Birch able to keep that back line composed once again. Really like Tristan Hodge on the inside next to him, and the visitors get a vital 3 points.
And now is as good a time as any to take a look at tonight's Stanley Black & Decker innovative play of the game. And of course, it is Raymond Lee's first professional goal, linking up with Alex Dixon. Pick that one out.
Still can't believe with all the talent this guy possesses that he hasn't found one sooner. Nice to see him finally get his goal. Again, frustrating night for Jimmy Nielsen's boys, but they did show you that they are getting better each and every week. It wasn't a result tonight. However, did well last week. 75% performance tonight. Next matchup, get it going.
So Raymond Lee paying tribute to the fans as they've come out and supported yet another disappointing effort for Hartford Athletic, but they'll take on New York Cosmos B in the U.S. Open Cup second round. It was a night filled with drama, physical play, terrific goalkeeping from Jacob Lissick, but in the end, it was Memphis 901 FC who come away victorious. For our entire crew, producer Ava Ponte, director Gage Tillotson, replay operator Jose Bueso, and my main man Devin Kerr, Tyler Terrence saying so long for now. Final score, Memphis 2, Hartford 1.
This copyrighted telecast of the United Soccer League Championship cannot be retransmitted, rebroadcast, or reproduced without the expressed written consent of the United Soccer League Championship.